is near, so I face final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, that I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, and there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. Oh, what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the words he truly feels, and not the words what it is. The record shows I took the blows and did it my
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all here, and also to those watching via the live stream, the family and friends of Barry James Gibson, more affectionately known as Baz. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Gillian and Roderick in Wellington, and also the other family and friends from around the world that would love to have been here in person and are with us today via the live stream link. My name is Tony Piper Green, and it's an honour to be your celebrant today, along with the support and the assistance of all the staff at Mackay Funerals. Barry's family have given us the privilege of conducting his service today, and I'd like to welcome you all here on their behalf. We're all here today not to mourn the passing of Barry, but to celebrate, to honour, to pay tribute, and to share his life adventures and the memories that you have all created with him along the way, to pay our last respects and to bid a sad and fond farewell to a mate. Barry James Gibson was born in Gisborne on Sunday, the 28th of April 1946, and entered into eternal life on Friday, the 7th of March 2025, aged 78 years. On behalf of everyone who has joined us today, I'd like to extend our sincerest condolences to Barry's family, his wife Carol, his sons and their families, Guy and Jody, who was recently deceased, and many of you who are here today also gathered together to farewell Jody and support the family and their families only just a few weeks ago. Daniel and Christy, Kirk and Guy, Scott and Damien, Papa to all of his grandchildren, his siblings, his nieces and nephews, their families, all extended family, and also to you, friends and mates. I'd like to begin the service today with a verse titled, A Father's Legacy. In the quiet dawn, we feel your grace, your guiding hand, your warm embrace. You taught us strength, you taught us pride. With every step, you walked beside. Your laughter filled our home with cheer, a steady voice that calmed our fear. In every lesson, in every deed, you planted love, you sowed the seed. Now as you rest in heaven's light, your spirit shines forever bright. Though we must part, we're never far, your love remains our guiding star. With every breath and every tear, we feel you, Dad, forever near. In memory sweet, in dreams so grand, your legacy, a father's hand. We must remember those we love are never truly gone. They live in the treasured hearts of those who they've touched and shared along the way. So today I would like to invite Carol to come forward to begin our remembrance of Barry with us.
Wow. I'm just thinking we need Barry on his lilo instead of a bloody box. I'll need my glasses, I'm sorry. As you can understand, I'm sure, I'm living in another world just now. From the exciting expectations of what the day will hold, back to the devastating revelation after Barry's fatal fall from a platform ladder just 2 weeks ago. Can you hear me? Okay. And just realised that things aren't quite the same. But I can only say what fun we've had after many years of being together and be grateful for that. I'm trying to convince myself I can do this. To stand up in front of one and all and tell you about Barry. What do I need to tell you? From the beautiful cards and calls of sympathy that we've received, that you are so aware of his generosity, his empathy, and his big-heartedness. Then, with the support of the 5 boys, all the family, Guy, Daniel, Kirk, Scott, and Damien, and Michael, Barry's brother Ross, all now by his side. And then Gillian and Roderick in New Zealand. Roscoe wrote an obituary for the Gisborne Herald and put it so well that Barry's love, laughter, and generosity will all be missed, both be missed. The family meant so much to Barry. In spite of hiccups, he always felt blessed. And like me, he had had a very stable upbringing with his parents. Very stable and wonderful parents. Only a month ago, Barry and I were here sitting in that front seat, saying a goodbye to Guy's longtime partner of 22 years, commemorating her life after a 2-year battle with a brain tumor. I never thought I'd be back here so soon, other than in a box, I suppose. In the planning, in the planning of this ceremony, this service, I thought I must say a few words. Say a few words about Barry? I could be here for a week, for weeks. Where to start? With a joke. He had a joke for every and on any most mundane topic. And well, fortunately, I was Barry's best audience. Very few of his, however many hundreds of jokes he'd committed to memory, did I remember. Not the way he would tell them, anyway, with his embellishments. For example, God up there, sitting on cloud 9, with a grin on his face. God with a grin on his face. A brief outline of how we came to meet. Him from down south, New Zealand, and me from north of the equator, the UK. I'm English born, but Scottish bred, in that my family, my dear twin brother Chris, and precious older brother Michael, a month older than Barry, moved from the Cotswolds, Cheltenham, then to Cambridge, then up to Edinburgh. I was 11 or 12. After Edinburgh University and Murray House Teacher Training College, I was looking for a job abroad, and soon after I was trundling off on the Trans-Siberian Railway, heading for an English teaching job in Japan. That was in 1974. My twin brother Chris headed to Hong Kong in 75. My parents said, "We brought you up to be independent and adventurous, so all the best." So no tales from Wales, they say, but I met this arrogant, pompous prick. Soon after he arrived, you know him? Excuse me. Soon after he arrived in Kobe, Japan, in 1987, our paths crossed at the international table for itinerant foreigners in the popular sailors' bar in Kobe called the Hub. Then in the attic, called the Hub, then at the attic, then at the Munich bar, where Barry's claim to fame was that he was the last man out of the pub before it collapsed in the 1995 earthquake, the Great Hanshin earthquake. When I first met him, he was holding court like King Arthur at the round table with his mates, Kiwi guys, Brett, perhaps, others, and was acceptably so critical of his colleague who had made Barry travel by Shinkansen, the fast train, navigate Japanese signs, all in Japanese writing, ticketing, etc., to get to Kobe from Tokyo on his own on Barry's first trip to Japan. Hence, he was rather abrupt to this colleague, and I thought, arrogant. Barry was in Kobe from 1987, as a car buyer, cars and spare parts being sent back to New Zealand and Australia. Not a car seller, he emphasized. But Barry never really learned Japanese language other than the money and counting it with the complicated, obscure Japanese system of 10,000 ichimanen is $1 or whatever, $100. $1. I was working with Time Life educational books in Tokyo. Then in 1979, went to mainland China for 3 years with Time Life. In 82, I returned to Japan to work in Osaka with the Sankei Sports Fuji Group newspaper, inviting foreign athletes to join our events, tennis tournaments, dragon boat racing, fun runs, and marathons. How many of you, I wonder, would ever think, ever guess that Barry had run and completed 2 marathons? One in Hawaii, where 30,000 runners were celebrating 30 years of the Hawaii Marathon, where 30,000 runners took part. Barry was 21,012th. Walking, running, crawling. The first thing he did was have a swim in, what's the beach, Waikiki? And then a beer, perhaps it was the other way around, a beer, then a swim. And his claim to fame is that he beat me as our paths crossed. I'm going down and he's going up. Another marathon was on a small island, can't remember the name of it, where there are 500 or 600 runners only, so we got very spread out, a 6-hour deadline. 6 hours, 5:59. Barry? Where's Barry? No Barry. 7 hours. By this time, they've taken away the bollards, but the way Barry found his way home was following empty cups that people have been drinking and throwing down. A bus had come past saying, come on, get in, the event is closed. No, I'm going to finish it, I'm going to finish. And that was his determination. Where is it? So Barry came back to the UK with me to meet my mother and brothers. I've always felt sad that he never met my father, as they had so much in common. Rugby union, my dad's love, boxing in the army, cauliflower ears, fingers broken. And Barry was passionate about both rugby and boxing. Through his boxing, my father was nicknamed Puggy. A flattened nose, right? The nickname I inherited at school as an 8 or 9-year-old. Guess what? I'm sorry. So guess what? I inherited my father's nickname. We'd been discussing what names we should have. And I'd say, oh, my dad was called Puggy. Oh, you're going to be called Puggy. Anyway, so Barrett's nickname was, does anybody know? Pug. He'd been nicknamed Pug as a little boy. Pug and Puggy. Mother said that Dad, as a prisoner of war in Germany, found that out of all his fellow prisoners, it was New Zealanders he could most relate with. So I was so sorry that Barry never met my father. Barry's first visit to meet my mother in a small country village in East Bergholt, Constable country in Suffolk. Beautiful countryside as portrayed in Constable's works. Mother suggested that Barry park the car a little way up the road and Mum and I would sit on a stile, look at the scenery. She said, she nudged my shoulder, she said, he's really rather nice, dear. I can have a bit of fun with him. And indeed, she did. They got on very well. Driving up to Edinburgh, where Chris, my twin, and I have a flat still, in the pouring rain, we stopped at a little pub on the border. 5 or 6 big guys were around the bar, telling Barry was trying to put on a Scottish accent. So where's he from, they asked me. New Zealand, he's a Kiwi. I'm going to tell you a joke, says Barry. I'm going to tell you a joke, he says. I'm thinking, oh, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? It was something referring to the stinginess of the Scots. You can even get a drink out of a coconut. Whether it was a joke, they were laughing and bought us drinks. I'll have another sip of water. So Barry loved entertaining. He did, indeed. I'm sure you all know that, and many of you have experienced his cooking skills, full on. The teppanyaki style, hungis, barbecues. We were already discussing his 80th birthday celebrations. Not this April, but a year away, next 2026. Barry's 60th dinner party on the jetty at the Coral Sea Hotel, hosted by Gillian and Roderick, Barry's generous sister and brother-in-law. About 30 of us, best mates from New Zealand, including Freddie Fox, Fred Lewis, who, on hearing Gillian's well-appointed pronunciation, high class, asked Barry, who was it giving the speech? Who is it giving that welcome speech? That's my sister, says Barry. Your sister? Where the hell do you come from then? The following evening, the family party at Black's Road with 2 groups, Mark and Mully, and good mate Willie Honer from the Herbs. Why 2 bands, somebody asked. Well, in case one didn't turn up, thinking of the unreliability of Maori in musicians. But both did turn up, and of course, it was a brilliant party. Many of the parties, our wedding reception, there was a hungy, there was digging the hole, the pit, coming up 26 years ago. A Maori tradition, says Barry, the bride always digs a hugging hole. a pit about this high. Being very vulnerable, of course I believed him. Food was prepared a lot of the time by Norm, who had worked for Fantasy. He was involved with Barry's 60th and 70th parties and various weddings, Scott and Takai, Kirk and Gee. We were always so grateful for the help we were given for these events. I must mention Leon, who worked with us on Schooner Friendship, the charter boat we had, and all the boys who were there, who were around. So many people wanting to be involved. And my latest team involving Sandy and Marie and Di and Leslie, etc., so many friends. So what brought us to Airlie Beach from Kobe, Japan? In '98, Barry decided to sail our yacht Skytrim from Osaka to New Zealand in time for the America's Cup, thinking he could sell it for a good price. There were 5 crew on board in a torrential storm near what was it called? Ikugawa, the rock. It came to be before. Anyway, it was a military post, and they were Iwo Jima, telling Barry and the captain, don't land here, just rocks. The military guards were signalling to Skytrim to keep away from the rocks. Scottish Billy Ogilvie and I flew into Guam, and then a month later into Townsville, where the boat arrived. And as the boat arrived as a welcome, and I'd learnt the bagpipes to greet them. So from Townsville, Barry and I flew back to Japan, and Barry was reading a trader boat magazine on the plane. On the front cover was Schooner Friendship, a charter boat operating in Early Beach for sale. That's for us, we nudged each other. And so we left Japan after 50 years, going to work in a bikini and flip-flops instead of office gear, as it was in Japan. Barry loved the sailing life. Other boats on our schedule were Providence, Kiana with Jeff and Lee, Waltzing Matilda with Wayne and Sandy, Pavey. Sitting up front at the bow were two cousins, passengers on the boat. They said, "We thought we'd have to be millionaires to be doing this." Indeed, schooner was so popular. Partly, one reason was its gourmet food. A honey on board a boat. So, we've covered parties and weddings. What were his hobbies? He loved fishing, especially trips out with Bruce Reham and Sue from Dingo Beach, trips to the Wrecker's Yard in Airlie with Colin to Sue Thorburn, in Proserpine with Paul Dilly. Come to our garden, you'll see a Wrecker's Yard removed from Proserpine Airlie Beach. He loved history. He'd read and memorized certain pages of an encyclopedia about Greek helmets as a little boy and could direct Tony Wolfe to the pages of this Castle's encyclopedia, G to H or something, when Tony was sculpting these heads, and he could quote the words on this page after how many years. He knew all the dates and orders of Henry VIII's wives. Barry enjoyed different sessions. The Monday evening music session with Kimbo and Tracy and all our friends who could play. We could clap and cook, but not play any instruments, but we enjoyed them so much, with good memories of Peter, Dogwash Pete, and so many others. Then the gentleman's breakfast on a fortnightly Friday schedule with such good friends, Peter Williams, Peter Egger, Jim, Keith, Johnny, Eric, so many originally Finn Fords. His passion for distilling absorbed him and kept me supplied with pink gin and others with whatever spirit they drank. I must thank Pop, who was with me when Barry fell. I ran down to get him, and we thought, we must call an ambulance. 999, no, that's UK. 111, no, that's New Zealand. 000, Australia, came to us. And within minutes, there were 2 ambulances there, 2 guys, 2 girls, working on Barry, and 4 fire brigade guys came. But they said, not looking good. Then he was whisked off in a helicopter to Townsville Hospital. What a support he was for me, Pop. Thank you so much. He took me off for a couple of days up north, just to get away from the house. So Barry would invent things in his dreams, not much more. He'd wake up in the morning and draw out his inventions. The ideas man, the project man. Many a project at 11:59, not quite finished. The bike, his BSA 55, Gold Star. The boat, Wild Honey, to be turned into a boat bar. There's 2 containers to empty completely, packed up back in 2010 when we took off to the UK. And that's where I'll finish, with lots of jobs to do, lots to fulfill. And I know he'll always be with me and his Kiwi ingenuity. Just pick one project and finish it. Well, just one was Murray's advice. Tears from heaven with all this rain, I think, with a torrential storm. Lots and lots of good memories, let alone jokes. to smile at. Thank you all for being here.
Good work, Ras.
Thank you.
Come this way.
Did you want to stay up there?
I think we'll stay here,
Did you want
Buzz.
to introduce you?
Yeah, it's all good.
All good.
All good. Do you want me to go first, Buzz?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ras. That's a bit of a hard act to follow. Last time I was here, Baz had told Buzz that I did a good talk, but it was a little bit long. So I'm going to cut this one down, Buzz. All right, okay. It doesn't like me, hey? It's me. It's these glasses. Could be. Oh, now I can't see. Okay. So, Barry Gibson, Baz, that's what I called him. He was also my dad, Baz or Brosy. He's a lot of nicknames for people. Everyone had a nickname and it seemed to stick. I think we'll talk about those at the wake afterwards. There's plenty of nicknames. Look, somehow I never really thought of him as my dad. It's more as the bloke that always had my back, even before I was born and so many times ever since, whenever I've needed him. Now, Baz had 3 wives that we know of, and a mother to another brother. Yep. And Baz gave me a lot of brothers, but due to some unfortunate events, I didn't always get to play with them all the time. And Baz and I didn't always see eye to eye, though. There was, in the way that things get done. In fact, it was a running joke in the Early Beach chapter of his life that there was the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things, and the Barry Gibson way. That way? Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, hence we've come in with that song today, because there's only one way. He did it his way. I was always trying to do things my way, and so was he, so maybe we're the same in that. We sort of clashed a little bit, but we always got things done. I think I'll talk about the farm stories and the denting the ute back in front at the wake afterwards. We had a good time on the farm. That was probably our special time. Actually, I was lucky enough to drive him home from when we lived out in the country. I'd drive him home when I was 13, and I just had to wait in the pub car park for a while till closing time, and then we'd go home and we'd cook mashed potatoes. I got taught how to cook mashed potatoes. I do mean mashed potatoes, and we'd listen to Willie Nelson Stardust. So some of the best memories of my life. Buzz, you want to step in here, mate, and we'll close off with the other one.
Cool.
See if you get the glare.
Probably need these, eh?
You might get that flashback. See if it's you too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You good?
I think it's all right.
Yep.
Firstly, a huge thank you from our family to all of you that could make it here today to celebrate the life of a legend. And thanks to all you celebrating my dad's life via the live stream around the world. As Jimmy and Alan like to sing, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So for those of you watching in New Zealand, you're all good to go. We'll join you in a few hours in raising a glass to our mate Baz. I married a public speaker, so I wouldn't have to do this stuff. And I've managed to avoid it this far, but I figure Baz would have said, toughen up, boy, get up there and have a go. Because that's what he always did. He'd have a go at pretty much anything. Reminds me of one of his favourite sayings. If you told Baz that something couldn't be done, it just made him more determined to prove you wrong. The saying was like red rag to a bull. When he was building his house, or their house, in Blacks Road, Ely Beach, he decided to build his own bifold doors to go out to the deck. Everyone told him it'd be much easier and cheaper to go out and buy them. But he decided it'd be far more fun to go and buy and build the woodworking gear required to do it himself. And sure enough, he got it done, his way. Just like the caravan he bought that everyone told him was beyond repair. And the decrepit old boat, that Wild Honey, wasn't it, that he fished out of the bush somewhere and is now a feature of the deck at their home in Flametree. For me, those days in Japan that Carol was talking about, well, with Dad, they were the best. Baz loved his time there. He loved the people, especially their friendliness, politeness, and the order and cleanliness of the place and the way they were always on time. He took that pretty seriously. And the honesty. He loved the fact that you could forget your shopping bags on a seat in a mall, go back there 3 or 4 hours later, and it'd always be there. Or he used to leave the $100 was ichimaen in Japan, and just leave it on the bar, wander off, go somewhere, come back half an hour later. As long as you were drinking with Japanese, you had to keep a close eye on some of the foreigners over there. So Baz would hold court wherever we were, whether it was any of the fantastic bars that he used to go to, that Carol mentioned a few, and the sports club, the KRC, loved it there, played every Sunday, or the Kobe Club. And that was his sanctuary on the edge of the city, just up by the hills. It was kind of home away from home, really. He could escape there, escape Japan for a while, chilling out up at the bar or by the pool, surrounded by beautiful gardens. And his great friends like Swen and Papa-san, Pat and Captain Ian. Pat's the only one still here, unfortunately, but yeah, they were great guys. They're all eager to hear his latest joke or his latest silly saying. He had a few. Like, bro, you look as flash as a rat with a gold tooth when you got dressed up for an event. Or, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it think if someone couldn't quite see logic the same way he did. Set like a jellyfish was either used when something was ready cooking, or when he was ready to roll, ready to go. Or one that he used with Fred a lot was never meet trouble halfway. It was a wise saying he gave to anyone worried about anything. My personal favourite was cheapest way of living. This was often used when he knew he was spending money where it probably might have been a bit more logical to do it a different way or didn't need to spend it. So Baz would just say, cheapest way of living, bro. But Baz was good with money. He was. He knew how to make it and he knew how to give it away. Not everyone is cut out for that. It takes a special kind of skill. I remember when he painted the Kobe Club after the great Hanshin earthquake back in '95 that Carol was talking about. It was a massive old building, like you look at the scene, go paint that, really? Okay. But the club had not a lot of money, and they had a couple of quotes for one for 210, one for 250,000 Aussie, and from the local suppliers to fill the cracks and give it a coat of paint because it was all cracked from the earthquake. And that was a hell of a lot of money 30 years ago, even in Japan. So Baz said, leave it to me, and organised his great old mate, Barry Allen, the painter, jump on a plane with 2 big suitcases full of Sally's No More Gaps. Asked him what paint to order, did that, and then he went and bought a cherry picker, one of those trucks with the arm with the bucket, so he wouldn't have to pay for scaffolding, or the club wouldn't. Then he assembled a team of willing volunteers, and for 4 or 5 weekends, got the whole deal done for 25 grand, and that included the party afterwards. In hindsight, I'm pretty sure Baz was just planning ahead, tidying the club up for the next big party which was Scotty's 21st, the following summer. Another great Baz party. We couldn't find this photo that's in my mind for the slideshow, unfortunately, but it'll sit there forever. And it's a picture of the two Bazes, 3 or 4 metres up in the air, crammed into this little bucket. Two big Kiwi guys that they wouldn't have been weight rated for that, especially not with a chili bin full of cold Asahi beers. They didn't have a care in the world. Brush in one hand, beer in the other, and both laughing away at the never-ending stream of silly jokes from Baz. That was pure gold. We've covered that, eh? Yeah, that was beautifully done, yeah. We were lucky enough to be married at Baz and Carol's place in Blacks Road, Ely Beach. Beautiful spot. Back in 2004. A lot of the people here today were there for that. It was a really special day for us, and I don't know how many people would spend months, wasn't it, Carol? Yep, of their time, basically build you a wedding venue. He built these massive decks, huge decks, and a beautiful pagoda with the views out to sea, over the bush, and that's where we got married. And of course, a pool for everyone to jump in at the end of the night. That was mandatory. When I look back, I think he was probably already lining up the venue for his 60th, which was 2 years later. He was always planning ahead for a big party. Any excuse to get his family and his mates together. Kind of reminds me of another one of his favourite sayings, one that he stole off Niggs actually. Might as well kill 2 birds one at a time, eh, Baz? I'll always cherish the 6 months that we had with Baz in 2013 when he came to stay with us. Carol was looking after her mum in England, and Baz came to us, and first thing was he asked Gee, he said what she wanted him to build, because he was always going to build something. And she said, look, I love those outdoor teppanyaki tables that you've got. You've built a couple of those in Aussie. I'd just love to have one of those. I could tell by his reaction that wasn't what he wanted to hear. He had other ideas. He wanted a new challenge. So he roped in a willing Rangi Broman, they wrote, as 2IC. And we ended up with this massive traditional pizza oven, with a smoker in the bottom, built from scratch. We named it, hot running water too. We named it the Taj Mahal. That was 5 months later. Some of the people here actually came to the christening party at home. Another great Baz party, and to be fair, probably the real reason that he wanted to build the oven in the first place, just have another Baz party. You can only get 8 people around a teppanyaki table. You should have seen his face when Guy had to rein him in, tell him he couldn't invite everybody he'd met in Gulf Harbour for the last 5 months and limit him to 100 people. He was very disappointed, but he managed to sneak at least 120 in. We feel really blessed to have had the precious time last Christmas with Baz and Carol. It was an effort for them to get over there, and we really appreciate they did. It was in Gisborne with a lot of his family, some of them watching today. He loved them all so much. He got to check out Pete's deer farm in Matawai, which is right next to where him and Baz O'Connor used to trap his own deer 40 years ago when he had a deer farm. And he got out there, Matawai, by his last real helicopter ride. He was buzzing the whole time. He was over in New Zealand. And he did a stellar patch-up job on the Taj while he was there. I could go on all day talking about our dad, but I'm sure we'll be doing a fair bit of that today and later on and in the days to come. So I'll finish with the words of the feelers. Baz, you're larger, get it right, larger than life, and that's how we'll remember you. See you, brother.
Nice, bro. Nice. We'll just finish this last little bit. So I'm sure you'll all want to catch up for a few stories and maybe even some jokes of Baz at the Goosey Sports Bar shortly afterwards, and we can raise a glass to remember the generosity of his spirit, because he was something special in that generosity side of things. Baz was something to everyone and everything to some. So, cool. Thank you all for coming. Yeah? Cool.
Thank you. I'd now like to invite Barry's brother Ross to come forward to share a tribute on behalf of Gillian and Roderick. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Those three are pretty hard to follow, aren't they? Today I'm speaking about Barry's early life growing up in Gisborne the Golden. These are Gillian's and Roderick's words, but very appropriate and very true. It is rather difficult to describe our brother Baz in a few short minutes. I think of how often we said we were fortunate to have such a wonderful parents, aunts, uncles, and their friends who gave us a memorable childhood. Our mother's picnics were legendary. Barry was the most perfect picture, this is Jill's words, perfect picture book child from the time he was born. He looked angelic, I don't know if that's the right word, sis. Moreover, he had an energetic nature and project driven. Some of these escapades have become part of family stories. Our parents' love for each other spilled in over to their relationships with their families and friends. I always thought, Gillian, that Barry wanted all his friends to become part of his family. We approved wholeheartedly. At his 70th birthday party, when asked if he was having a happy day, he said every day was a happy day for the last 70 years. However, that encapsulates Barry's attitude towards life. It was a can-do attitude with a wonderful gift for making things, fixing things and creating things, leaving us all with a great admiration for his talents, his many talents, sorry. His love of food and cooking and sharing meals with others has left us with great memories of Carol and Barry's hospitality. When you rang, he was preparing for a party. He was in a state of high excitement with the anticipation of having everyone with him enjoying life to the fullest. Barry was a wonderfully strong, and beautifully coordinated, wow, some of these words, sis, from the time he was young. We have often thought about his finest during the Kobe earthquake 30 years ago, where he carried a fragile elderly lady down so many of the stories and the staircases to take her to safety. He became the local hero, someone that encapsulates his great physical strength and energy and his extreme kindness and thoughtfulness to other people. How true. We'll all miss him in so many ways. He was a real character. It was hard to describe in a few sentences, but each of us will have special memories to treasure. Rest in peace, my busy and purposeful life, and he will remember you with deep affection forever. So these words are from Gillian, Roderick, Jan, Billy, Ross, and all the nephews and nieces.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Barry's friend Pete Dogwash to come forward to share a poem that he wrote.
Firstly, my commiserations, heartfelt commiserations to the family of Barry, his boys, Carol, his New Zealand family, and his global friends. And I'm not stretching anything there. They stretched from England, Japan, New Zealand, and all over Australia. And it's just a testament that, see, all the people here today, and I know very well, we all loved him. There was no doubt about that. He was a larger than life man. I was fortunate to meet him, my wife and I, about 20 years ago, maybe 25. And that was just before he had his 60th birthday, and it wasn't a bad introduction, a big party. And then he had the 70th birthday. And it wasn't that long ago, I was doing a bit of work on the wild honey, getting it ready for his 80th birthday. And we had a close friendship, and I enjoyed every second of it. And people have travelled here today. I see Michael and Trace all the way from Bali, just to be here with their mate. People from New Zealand, the boys, just to come here today. Everybody's surrounding around Carol, who we all loved equally. It's a shock, but he'll live on. He will live on, we know that. He'll be in our hearts, in our memories, the stories. Remember, he always had to come back. It wasn't that long ago, I've just come in from Western Australia, and I was talking to him on the phone. He said, "How you going, boy?" I said, "Well, not too bad, Baz. I just had a bit of a medical episode, and the doctor said I've got to give up alcohol." He says, "More than one bloody doctor, you know, boy." Oh, you had to love him, and we did love him. So anyway, I penned this little poem, about 30,000 feet, and I titled it Valet Barry Gibson. We remember Barry Gibson. The first time I met Barry with his smile and a clever joke, that was the time he shook my hand, which I then thought he had broke. We all know where I'm coming from with that line. It cemented a long-time friendship that was to long remain, as strong as his gripping handshake, and never would it wane. This adventure-loving Kiwi had made a fresh new life in down under Australia with his lovely English wife. They'd bought a fair-rigged schooner, Friendship was her name, had won the respect of their lofty peers in the sailing charter game. Barry, the man, unselfish, who always helped a mate, always time to listen, fix their car if it should break, or put down a Kiwi hungy, cook up a tasty feed, then rise without a second thought if he found a mate in need. Barry, the man, the husband, needs to never know the long and final struggle as the health begins to go. Not for he, the sick bed, for the end it was so brief, so mercifully sudden. All that remains now is the grief. But the sun will shine on brightly, and the moon will still rise high, and remember the good times with our mate when we look up in the sky. And I finish it off by saying, farewell, old mate, you were one of the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Well, during our time of remembrance, it is lovely to hear the stories and the memories of those who truly loved Barry. Is there anyone that would like to take this opportunity to also come forward to share a special memory or a story or even a funny joke that Barry might have shared with you? Yeah, please do.
Okay, we'll see how we go. Wow. Wow, jeepers, what a life. There's not much you didn't do or achieve. There's also not much you couldn't do. And had it not been for you looking for a quicker way to get to heaven, I think you would have kept raising the bar even higher. I think the bar was already high enough. Your love and zest for life was truly amazing. Your generosity and your love for bringing people together was next level. Oh, can I just get a tissue or something? Can't really see. Eh? Yeah, thanks. Where will you get up to? Oh,
Is this below?
yeah. Bringing people together was next level. Your memory for telling a good yarn or a joke was out the gate extraordinary. You don't have to be talking about something or just mention a word. Any word would do. And there would be, oh yeah, that reminds me, oh, Johnny did this and he did that, and away you went. Baz was very good at elaborating on a story or adapting a story to turn into a joke. He was also very good at delivery and drawing the listener in. Quite often, he would lower his voice so that people would have to come closer and hear and fully get their attention. You know? It's like secret squirrels and stuff, yeah? Then there was his laugh at the end. So even if you didn't get the joke or you'd heard it before, you'd still be cracking up with Baz laughing anyway, especially if he did the old classic comb over and one knee jumping back. Who remembers that? There were a lot of great earlier Christmas time memories, especially on the farm and the Rukatory days at Billy and Jan's, with memories of the classic annual arm wrestle with Uncle Billy and Baz out on the front lawn, and later listening to jokes and laughter on the veranda till all hours of the night. Good times indeed. I loved that Baz was never afraid to take on a challenge. I think the one that stands out for me was sailing from Japan to Australia. It was a dream you had and you made it happen. Whilst it wasn't all plain sailing and preparation, and even along the way, you made it happen and you found your home eventually in Early Beach and achieved your goal, and we're all very proud of you and Rasky. Events. Baz loved an event, any excuse for a hungy or a pig on the spit. I learned a lot about event planning from Baz. I remember when Baz and Carol bought the schooner Friendship and did overnight island tours, he said, all the other boats just give out cheap sandwiches and a water bottle, but no, not us, Kimosabi, not us. We do on-board hungy. Word of mouth spread apparently, and it was a real highlight and experience. Typical Baz style, going the extra mile. There's no way he'd just be handing out a sandwich. That would be way too easy. There was no option. The only logical choice he had really was to do a hungy, of course. Essentially, he made a business out of doing what he loved. Hungy, yeah? Anyway, so what did we get up to, yeah? Our wedding was another example of Baz, ever the party opportunist, to sniff out another way to create good times. When we were living in Japan, I called to let him know we were getting married. He was in Early Beach at the time and straight away said, okay, well, we need to organise a party then. He said, just pick a date, turn up and leave the rest to me, which we did with full trust, and as usual, it was perfect. A great time was had by all. I know how extremely proud of your grandchildren you were. I love sharing their successes with you. One time in particular in recent years was when I mentioned that Leon was boxing in Moranbah. Is it Moranbah? Yeah. Justin, help me out. Yeah. Which is inland from Ely Beach, and I asked if you'd be keen to go and watch, which of course was a silly question really. Of course, there was never any doubt whether you'd go or not, considering your love for boxing, mixed with a chance to catch up with and support your grandson. You said to me after the match, "Well, Scotty, it took me 3.5 hours to drive there and 3.5 hours to get back, but to watch Leon fight for 30 seconds, man, it was the best 30 seconds of my life. You are very proud indeed." At the beginning of last year, I met an older couple just outside of Napier at a campsite. We started talking. I asked where they were from, and they said Gisborne. I asked, as I always do, if they knew Barry Gibson, and his eyes lit up and said, "Yes." He said, "I went to Elgin School with him. He'll know me," he said. I gave him his first homing pigeons. So just like those homing pigeons, I relayed the message in an email back to Baz and sent a selfie of us grinning together. You can look at that later on. I'll get it on my phone somewhere. Yeah. Knowing how funny this would be for him to see. Baz replied very quickly with an email to relay back to Rex, and I'll read that now. "Hi Scotty and the boys, thanks for the emails about Rex. I remember him very well, real good guy. He set me up with my first homing pigeons when I was at Elgin School, and I kept them for years. All the best for 2024, cheers Barry and Carol." In brackets, "Send my best regards to Rex Holdsworth, good fella." I then passed on the email for Rex to read. He then read the line, "Real good guy," and he turns to me and says, "Real good guy." He said, "I'm a real good guy." And he was very happy for that compliment. And a friendship from the past revisited, so that was really cool. I have many happy memories with my father, and it's those I will cherish forever. He was a good man, a good father, and a good friend to many. He had a lot of love to give, and he gave it unsparingly. Baz loved music, but I'll always remember, him singing in the car. The song was Honky Tonk Blues by Hank Williams. He loved singing that, and I was able to imagine him as a young boy singing that when it first came out on the radio. I know you will be with your beautiful sister Jan now, and no doubt sharing and comparing recipes with each other again. I will leave you with this, a one-liner Baz told me when I was younger, and I didn't get it for quite some time, which made him happy, I think. I think he enjoyed that. Now I realise the truth of the first part even more so than the second part. So, time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like a banana. And I'll add this too. Time is an ocean, but it ends at the shore. You'll never be forgotten, but always loved forevermore. Love, Scotty and the boys and the family.
Thank you very much, Scott, for getting up and sharing with us. Well, we're now going to share some of these wonderful memories as we watch a photographic reflection showcasing Barry.
Yesterday, when I was young, the taste of life was sweet as rain upon my tongue. I teased at life as if it were a foolish game, the way the evening breeze may tease a candle flame. The thousand dreams I dreamed, the splendid things I planned, I always built to last on weak and shifting sand. I lived by night and shunned make it light of day. And only now I see how the years ran away. Yesterday, when I was young, so many happy songs were waiting to be sung. So many wild pleasures lay in store for me, and so much pain my dazzled eyes refused to see. I ran so fast that time and youth at last ran out. I never stopped to think what life was all about. And every conversation I can now recall concerned itself with me and nothing else at all. Yesterday, the moon was blue, and every crazy day brought something new to do. I used my magic age as if it were a wand, and never saw the waste and emptiness beyond. The game of love I played with arrogance and pride, and every flame I lit too quickly died. The friends I made all seemed somehow to drift away, and only I am left on stage to end the play. There are so many songs in me that won't be sung. I feel the bitter taste of tears upon my tongue. The time has come for me to pay for yesterday, when I was young. Pretty paper,
Maybe I'm running out of diesel.
pretty ribbons of blue. Wrap your presents to your darling from you.
Michael Thompson. Take it home, mate. Take those in.
Pretty pencils, write I love you.
Today I marry my friend.
Pretty ribbons of blue. Busy feet hustle by him. Downtown shoppers, Christmas is nigh, and there he sits all alone on the sidewalk, hoping that you won't pass him by. Should you stop? Better not. Much too busy. You better hurry. My, how time does fly. And in the distance, the ringing of laughter. And in the midst of the laughter, he cried. Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Wrap your presents to your darling from you. ribbons on. Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Wrap your presents to your darling.
Who's got a boat deck?
From
Everyone should have a boat deck.
Bark it off, man.
pretty
I don't
pencils.
know.
I love you. Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Oh, pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue.
It's been something seeing you again.
Yeah, we done
And in
it
this
before and
time
after
we've
here.
had to spend, you've been so good to be around.
What again, Brosy?
I thank you for that special thrill. Keeps me going on until the next time I'm in town. Though I won't be back here for a while, I'll hear your laughter, see you smile. I'll remember what went down. Though I don't know how or when I'll be seeing you again the next time I'm in town. Till the next time that I'll be passing through, think of all the things we've got to look forward to. Checking up on old friends, staying up all night long, playing jukebox music, singing old country songs. Yes, the faces and the places range across the bridge of time and change, and once again I'm homeward bound. But there's one thing I promise you, that's another rendezvous the next time I'm in town. Yes, it's been something seeing you again, and in this time we've had to spend, you've been so good to be around. I thank you for that special thrill, keeps me going on until the next time I'm in town. Good night, God bless you. I love you, folks.
For sharing those special moments with us. That was great. Well, on behalf of Barry's family, thank you to those who have travelled near and far to be here today to celebrate Barry's life with them, and also to those who have joined via the live stream. They appreciate your attendance and are truly grateful for your love and support. As Guy mentioned earlier, following the service, you are all welcome to join them at the Goose Pond Sport Bar for some light refreshments, and where you can raise a glass to Barry and share some of your stories. I'll also mention there is a signing book that's at the back of the chapel. If you didn't get a chance to sign on the way in, it will be placed out again at Goosey's. Please take the time to write a message or just sign your name, because it is a lovely keepsake for the family. Well, family and friends, we have come to that time where we're prepared to say our final farewell to Barry. The last chapter of Barry's story is now complete, and I'm sure that he would like to thank you all for being a part of his life. But now it's time to say a final goodbye, committing his body to nature and thus committing his memory to your hearts for the rest of your days. I'd now like to say some parting words to Barry on behalf of everyone here as we send him on his journey with love. Barry, you are much loved and admired. Your life we honour, your departure we accept, and your memories we will cherish. In grief at your death, but in gratitude for your life and for the privilege of sharing it with you, we release your body to its natural end, and we trust that your imperishable spirit will find eternal rest. Barry, we are grateful that you have been a part of our lives, but now we wish you well on this next journey. As we've all come together to celebrate Barry's life and to acknowledge his death today and to bring comfort and unity to each other, I'd like to invite you to join in reciting the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. We commend Barry and the memories that you have of him to this ceaseless round, noting in time we too will rejoin this circle of life. Barry James Gibson, may you rest in peace and your spirit be free. Now you all have your own personal memories of Barry, and it's these happy memories that will sustain you all in the days to come. May you find comfort in the love and the support from one another as you navigate this journey of change. Barry was a special person, but now he's an angel who's grown his wings to fly high, headed on his next adventures. Let us honour Barry's life by cherishing the moments that you've shared. May his spirit guide, his memories inspire, and his love to continue to surround you. To conclude our service today, I'd like to share one last verse that I thought if Barry could speak to you all here today, that he might offer these words of comfort. The verse is called Afterglow by Helen Lowry Marshall. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when the day is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly on the ways of happy times and laughing times, of bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that I leave behind when my day is done. Thank you again for taking the time out to come together to celebrate Barry's life, and just as importantly, coming together to support one another. Could I please have you all upstanding to follow the family from the chapel? Thank you.
There's a ship lies rigged and ready in the harbour. Tomorrow for old England, she sails, far away from your land of endless sunshine, to my land full of rainy skies and gales. And I shall be aboard that ship tomorrow, though my heart is full of tears at this farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. I heard there's a wicked war ablaze, and the taste of war winter will be this last farewell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. Though death and darkness gather all about me, and my ship be torn apart upon the sea, I shall smell again the fragrance of these islands in the heaving waves that brought me once to thee. And should I return safe home again to England, I shall watch the English mist roll through the dell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell. For you are beautiful, and I have loved you dearly, more dearly than the spoken word can tell.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone, and all the flowers are falling. 'Tis you must go, and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow, and I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when you come, and all the flowers are dying, and I am dead, as dead I may well be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I will hear those soft your tread above me, and o'er my Let not your dying thoughts be just of me, but say a prayer to God.